Shakespeare, a lottery win changed his life in unimaginable ways, and the consequences were tragic. Most of his adult life, Abraham struggled to make a living, working odd jobs to get by.
He worked in orange groves. He always tried to keep him a job. He always tried to keep some kind of work. He would get up and walk to work, to the city in the morning. Cold and rainy, he would walk there. But that was just Abraham.
At age 41, Abraham was working as a trucker's assistant. Even though he didn't make much, he always found the money for a lottery ticket.
Abraham was traveling with one of his co-workers, and they were on one of their runs, and they stopped at the Town Star convenience store in Davenport, and that's where he purchased his winning ticket.
Days before Abraham knew he'd won, he was down to his last couple dollars. But even then, he couldn't turn down a homeless man.
He ain't have no money, so he came up to me. I reached in my wallet and showed him that I had $3. And I gave him my last $3. That ticket had already came out and I was already rich and didn't even know it.
And rich he was. In an instant, Abraham went from penniless to multi-millionaire. In November 2006, he won a $30 million jackpot and opted for a $17 million lump sum payment.
I was shocked. I said maybe they got him mixed up with someone else. He didn't act too happy or jumping up and down. He just acted like his normal self.
Abraham's mother was happy for her son, but concerned. He was never good at handling money and generous to a fault.
To him, people were just people. He didn't see that maybe there's some that didn't mean him good or somebody that was out to get him. He just trusted their friendship.
Abraham was always eager to lend a helping hand, especially to friends.
And I was having a rough time, and he was like, well, you can come stay at my house till you get on your feet. And we ended up dating.
Centuria met Abraham 5 months after his win. By then, he moved out of his mom's house and bought a brand new 4,600 square foot house in a gated community in North Lakeland.
The house was a dream house. It was huge. It was 3 bedrooms, but the master bedroom alone was like the size of your average living room. TVs in every room.
Centuria and Abraham celebrated the win with trips and cruises to the Caribbean. But with little education, his next challenge would be managing his millions.
He was illiterate. He couldn't read or write, and that was evident through talking with friends. Shakespeare was asked once how many zeros are in 1,000, and he said 2, and that told me that he really did not grasp the concept of how much money he really did have.
But friends and strangers got it all right. Abraham was besieged by requests for money, and he couldn't say no. Abraham became a human ATM.
He became Lakeland's stimulus package. He really reached out, helping to pay for funerals, keeping people out of foreclosures, helping to put food on people's table. This was the kind of man that Abraham was.
I have seen people walk up to us in Walmart and just start crying. And he'll be standing there looking like, well, what do I do? And I'd be like, walk off, walk off, walk off. It's a trick.
When Abraham wasn't giving away his winnings, he was lending hundreds of thousands to his friends.
I would ride with him in his car, and they would call him, and he said his phone would just constantly be ringing.
He paid one of his friends that he worked with house off for $169,000. He loaned another friend $150,000, $60,000 for a semi-truck, $28,000, $30,000, $60,000. The list goes on from there.
In all, Abraham lent over $3 million to friends and strangers. He became a victim of his wealth. Whatever joy he had from giving became lost in endless harassment.
I think he was kind of miserable, with the money he had, and people was bothering him about it all the time. I don't think he was happy.
Then in October 2008, a businesswoman named Dee Moore befriended Abraham and offered to help handle his finances.
Shakespeare first met Dee Dee at a conference. She began giving him some financial advice that sort of made sense to him.
Centuria was surprised to see that Dee Dee had moved into Shakespeare's home.
One day I go out there and Dee Dee's standing out there, and I'm like, well, who is this, Abraham? And, oh, this is Dee Dee. She gonna help me sell the house so we can get the smaller house. I just brushed it off.
Shortly afterward, Dee Dee bought the house.
Dee Dee says she owns the house now. And I was like, well, you bought his house? She's like, yeah. What I'm doing is I'm bailing him out of debt. I'm gonna buy all his bad debt.
Then, within months of Dee Dee's arrival, in April 2009, Shakespeare just dropped out of sight.
During the summertime, everybody wanted to know, where was Abraham Shakespeare?
At first, many thought he was just laying low.
They assumed that he finally put his foot down and wanted to get away from people pestering him for money.
Some wondered just how far the people Abraham bailed out might go to keep the money train rolling. After several weeks, Abraham's family became suspicious.
And got to where I couldn't get him on the phone. He stopped calling. And I called him and go right to the voicemail. Never did call.
The mystery deepened when his family started receiving strange text messages from Abraham's phone.
They were receiving text messages from Shakespeare. They assumed that, oh, he must be still alive if I'm receiving a text message. But some of the text messages didn't make sense because many people knew he couldn't read or write. It just was very puzzling to them.
If Abraham didn't send the text messages, who was the ghostwriter?
Abraham don't know how to text. So how is he texting us? Why don't he call?
Why does this couple pin their hopes on the luck of the squirrel?
I think this is the black squirrel we call lucky.